What's up, everyone? Welcome to Pat's Chat. I'm Doug Kyed, joined as always by Michael Hurley. Michael, for the live listeners, we're going up against Roman Anthony's MLB debut. So I would suggest you watch and listen to us and then have the Red Sox on mute. But I don't know what you're thinking. How are you doing?
I got the Red Sox. I'll catch you later. I'm just gonna watch the Red Sox. No,
It's a smart move.
it's an honor to talk to both a very sunburned man,
I
um,
am
and
strangely
and
sunburned.
and a winner. So congratulations on being the visionary of the year. That's incredible.
Thank you. We could talk about that a little bit later, but I will say off the top that when I won the Visionary of the Year award, they told us beforehand that like you can't keep the award, you have to give it back because it just had like some stranger's name on it. So then like every time I was taking a picture, I had to have my hand like strategically placed over some like other person's name the whole time.
Interesting.
Um, but eventually you'll see that award somewhere behind me when I get it, if they even decide to give it to me. But we'll
Nice.
talk about that at the end. We'll make our last, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, whatever it is, maybe slightly more serious than usual. I'm sure we'll still have some weird stuff to talk about. But Patriots did have day one of minicamp today.
Yeah,
Um, does that interest you at all?
it
Don't be
does.
honest.
We've
Yeah.
been talking about this for a while. I'm not nor like during the heyday. No, minicamp would not have interested me at all. But this team is in the reboot, and we want to see where it's at, and you want to see every little window of progress. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
this is interesting. But I do want to play this game with you because again, to the listeners, to the viewers, Doug's there working,
Mm-hmm.
Michael's not.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say a game of big deal or no big deal, where
Okay.
you tell me a thing,
Yep.
and I say big deal or I say no big deal because this is that time of year.
So first thing, Drake Maye looked good. He went 6 of 9 in the red zone, and he completed his first 4 passes in the red zone. Do you see that as being a big deal or no big deal?
I'm going to go with big deal because
Okay.
if he did the opposite, everyone would be freaking out and yelling about it. If he was 0 for 4 to start and didn't look good, people would be losing their minds. Now, Doug,
Mm-hmm.
I have to sneeze.
Okay. So I will continue to talk while Michael sneezes.
It went away. It went away. I'm fine.
Ah, that's the worst though.
I know. It'll hit me at some point.
Your life is basically incomplete right now.
I know. This sucks. This is stressful. It's like a ticking time bomb.
Really is. So that's a big deal. Yeah, I thought he looked good in the red zone. Defense came back and had like some better uh I don't know, success against him later on in the red zone. But for the most part, he looked good down there. Patriots receivers were getting open at a decent rate. He hit Kendrick Bourne a couple times, hit Ramondre Stevenson once. I think he might have hit Travion Henderson once. I'm looking right now as we speak. Yep. Also hit Hunter Henry and Demario Douglas. So overall, I thought pretty good outing out there in the red zone. And like once again, just seems like he's getting more and more comfortable with Josh McDaniels as his offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Good. I mean, and it's big in the context, like I said, what was it, 3 or 4 weeks ago when it was the 4 interceptions. Doug, it's coming. Oh my God. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. All right. It's now. This is going to be great. When the sneeze comes, we need to play a song or something. I wish I still had the soundboard to play the hip hop. Anyways, 4 weeks ago, it was kind of a sky is falling. He's not catching up to McDaniel's thing. So it is.
Yeah,
This is what you wanted to see by now, and you're seeing it. So that is a positive development.
absolutely. Yeah, Roman Anthony just popped out in his first career at bat.
Epic.
Um, is my Wi-Fi going in and out, or is it yours?
It's not mine. I mean, no, sorry, it's not yours. I should say because you've
Oh,
been
there we
great about
go.
it.
Okay. I think it might. So I bought one of those Wi-Fi extenders
Yeah,
from Verizon. So I should be good. It's sitting like, let's say, like 10 feet away from me right now. So
I'll say this: I
I
haven't heard you chop.
hoping to not chop for the rest of my life.
Yeah, you
Because
better not.
as we were talking before this podcast started, I don't think I'm ever moving from my current house.
Right. No
So
one, no one's ever moving again.
no. So yeah, that was good to see. Um, Efton Chisholm not as involved today. Is that a big deal or no big deal?
Probably a big deal in the sense that that's about right.
Right.
Like this is a crowded, busy receiver competition, and
Mm-hmm.
as the veterans show up and as the players of higher caliber get integrated, I do believe Efton Chisholm will have a steeper battle,
Mhm.
steeper hill to climb in order to get to actually compete for the spot, despite your Doug Kyed's over enthusiasm a week ago saying, "Oh, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. He's going to be Patriot Hall of Famer." And I had to talk you down after that.
Uh, Drake Maye's nickname for Efton Chisholm, Chiz. Big deal or no big deal?
It's just close to something you don't want to say into a microphone. So I will say it's better than Kendrick Bourne's nickname for him, which was EC.
Yeah.
Very bad nickname. Better than Cam Newton's nickname for Mac Jones, Mac and Cheese. Very bad nickname.
Mm-hmm.
So on the scale of that, it's good. You got to be careful throwing chiz around when you're like you got to really over enunciate the
Yeah.
jump. Got to
I
be
kind of
careful.
love I kind of love Chiz as a nickname.
You do love, yeah.
I I look forward to seeing what Otter, because I use Otter now to record all of the press conferences. Excited to see what word Otter thinks that Chiz is.
Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know what Otter is, you
Yeah.
know see all the reporters with their phones recording the audio.
Yeah.
It transcribes it, and
Immediately.
I don't want to besmirch Otter.ai because it's an extremely helpful tool when
It
you've
is.
got 30 to 40 minutes of interviews that you can generally pinpoint stuff now and control F and find your way through. So super helpful tool. But in terms of accuracy, it sucks. It is really bad. So
See, this is funny that you say this, Michael, because it's gotten a lot better,
okay.
but it's not great for Drake Maye. Drake Maye, it struggles with. Josh McDaniels, damn near perfect.
Hmm.
So, like, some people, it just translates a lot better. I think Vrabel transcribes pretty well on Otter. Mayo was great. Mayo was like almost perfect. McDaniels is perfect. It really struggles with Drake Maye's accent. I'm sure it will be the same thing for Will Campbell. So we'll see. We'll see what it does with Chiz as the season goes
So
along.
what you're saying is Otter is prejudiced against Southerners. So not great look, Otter. One nation under God, indivisible. Read a
For
book.
liberty and justice for all. I was trying to throw Chiz in there somewhere, but I couldn't.
Good.
So the Patriots left guard situation. I mean, we've seen a lot of guys there. I think like Evan Lazar said this. Like Cole Strange was heavily involved today. If Evan Lazar from Patriots.com can say it, I feel like we
Mhm.
can say it.
Okay.
But still seems like a little bit unsettled because Wes Schweitzer wasn't out there today. Tyrese Robinson wasn't out there. Still seems a little unsettled. Is left guard being unsettled a big deal or no big
No,
deal?
no, and it's not to whistle past the graveyard or not see the forest for the trees or whatever
Mm-hmm.
idiom you'd like to throw out there that doesn't really make sense, because you should have some established players on the line, and we've been through this.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to make too big of a deal about this, it's because you're still like PTSD from last year, watching an offensive line that was awful
Right.
almost in all five spots. So the fact that you have a legit NFL line, theoretically, I mean, Campbell has a lot to prove, but
Mm-hmm.
at that high of a pick, he's going to be a player. It's something you can envision working out, whether
Yeah.
it's Schweitzer, that guy, or Cole Strange or Layden Robinson. They have a lot of people. City Cell, right? Like there's six
Right.
guys. And if there's anything that I can glean from Mike Vrabel being Mike Vrabel is like competition is going to be legit, especially when
Right.
it's summer and the pads are on and you've got joint sessions. Like they're going to learn a lot about a lot of those guys. So if this was last year and you were talking about left tackle unsettled, left
Yeah.
guard unsettled, you didn't know David Andrews was going to be out yet.
Right.
It's a whole different story. So I'm not super. I mean, you obviously want to get it settled, but I think you have a lot of guys to compete for it.
Yeah, and I think that it'll settle obviously before week one. They'll figure out someone who's going to be there, but ultimately, you would love to know who your starting left guard is. Ultimately, it would be great if it was obvious, like if it was a Mike Owenu situation or a Morgan Moses situation. But I'm almost going to spin this negative into a positive that like the guys are close enough together that if like the offensive line that they trot out there in week one is just absolutely horrendous and like left guard is an absolute sieve, it's not going to be tough to just be like, all right, we're putting in the next guy. Like, I don't think that they're going to like struggle with that decision. I don't think there's one guy that they're like pot committed to the way that it seemed like they were with guys last year. So like, I do think that it'll be easy to make adjustments on the line if they need to this year.
Yeah, I'm more interested, honestly, and maybe this is because I'm a sick loser. In like, where does Cole Strange fit into this? Just because of that story being what it is, like being way overdrafted by Bill Belichick to the point
Right.
where the Rams were laughing on tape about it and had to apologize.
They had to
Has
backtrack. They had to
yeah,
pull Gerard Mayo.
they were like, oh no, we were just laughing at something else.
Yeah.
It's just coincidence. But I think it is interesting because like he's played a decent amount and has always been, I don't know, a representative
Right.
left guard. Like
Yeah.
not in over his head, but not a standout in any
Way
way.
overdrafted, but not like if he had been taken in the 5th round, you'd be like, yeah, that guy's fine.
Right. So I'm curious, like, if he gets caught, right? Let's say he's the third best left guard and they don't have room for him. Where does the career go? I'm curious about that because of not because of like how Belichick's draft, but because it's sort of an interesting sort of storyline arc.
Yeah, and maybe Sean McVay finally gets his guy. You know,
they did have him
years later.
Yeah,
they had him on the board. Thought they could get him in the 3rd round. Stephon Diggs. I don't know if you saw any of the videos that were put out there today on Stephon Diggs. Still not participating in full team drills. Was doing a little bit during walkthrough periods. Looks pretty close to 100%. Like, is his progress, is his rehab a big deal or no big deal?
Yeah, and the listeners get the joy as long as I mute it. I'm watching videos posted by someone named Doug Kyed.
There we go.
So I'm looking at the back of Andrew Callahan's head. So I wish the zoom.
How can you tell? How can you tell?
Just taking a stab at it. But I'm going to see Stephon Diggs running a route against a coach in shorts. Looks pretty good. I wouldn't say he's 100% there, but is moving. Who threw that ball? Because that was a bad ball. Oh, it's a coach. No worries.
It's Todd Downing. Yep.
Yeah, not worried about his arm. All right, now we're gonna watch him. He's on the other side.
Yeah.
He's cutting in. He's faking out. I mean, he got me. Mm-hmm. He got me because I was like, oh, it's just kind of a lazy route, and then boom, the legs go. So the legs are moving good. He's digging. He's cutting. Big deal because.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No. It's great because he's not that far removed from ACL surgery. So yeah, I think it's a big deal.
You framed it perfectly a week ago when comparing it to Bourne, where Bourne was not in the same spot at this point. So whatever it is Diggs is doing in the rehab, whether that's on the field or on a boat with a little baggie, it's working because there's still, let me count, August, July, August. You still got 3 months until they have to play a football game.
Yeah,
he's in a good position to be ready. I would say. Yeah,
I think that's fair. Remember what Julian Edelman did when he was coming off of his torn ACL to speed up his rehab?
Yeah.
Are you surprised more athletes don't do that?
Right. I mean, that was okay. It's a great question. Because for any children out there that weren't alive in 2018, Julian Edelman had a PED suspension to start the 2018 season. I have a question for you. 2 questions.
Yeah.
Who won the Super Bowl in 2018?
The New England Patriots.
Question number 2. Who was the Super Bowl most valuable player?
It was Julian Edelman.
So it's kind of like, it's a great question. If you're on a good team, what does 4 games in September matter for anything? If you can, and now I remember hearing, I don't want to like share stories other people have told, but this was like 15 years ago. Guys, I would say it was a common thing, I want to say, because back then, I don't know what the testing was. I don't know. It was different, but whatever it was seemingly common, and there were ways around it. And I remember one player who was coming off a torn ACL telling the media, actually, my injured leg is now stronger than my other leg. And everyone was kind of like, how? What kind of injection? So, no, it's we're not accusing Stephon Diggs of that, for the record.
No, I'm saying that maybe that's what should have been in the pink baggies.
Yeah.
Although, like, I guess if you're rushing back for week 1, popping a steroid suspension is not the best way to do it. But like you said, like, if you're possibly going to win the Super Bowl and you need you to be as strong as possible for week 5 through the Super Bowl, maybe speed up that progress one way or another.
if Diggs was still on the Bills or if he was on the Chiefs, like
Right.
I was the head coach, I would be personally injecting him with illegal drugs. But that's just because I'm a winner and I want to win.
I was watching, I don't know if I finished it, I might have fallen asleep during it, but I was watching I think it was a 30 for 30 or an ESPN doc or something like that about the 1998 home run chase between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. And like, it's just really funny at this point that the entire conversation wasn't just like, these guys are on steroids.
I know.
Like that we were all like, oh man, they're hitting so many home runs. Wow, they can hit 70 now. And Mark McGuire's like jacked to the gills. Sammy Sosa has like completely transformed himself as a player from like a 30-30 guy to a guy who can hit 68 home runs or whatever it was. And it's like, how naive were we back in 1998? And like, we have an excuse. We, of course, were only 11 or 12 years old at the time,
Yeah.
but there were like actual adults who pretended as if those things weren't happening.
Yeah. I mean, I love to watch old stuff. We got to bring back ESPN Classic.
Yeah.
One day, this was probably 15, 20 years ago, I was flipping through the old TV and the 2002 Home Run Derby in Milwaukee was on.
Oh, God.
And it was like Jason Giambi, Sammy Sosa, Richie Sexton.
Oh, God.
Just like people like Richie Sexton is someone you'd never think about in
Right.
day-to-day life. And then you watch that and you're like, this man was like 13 feet tall and was just pure muscle. Like I need to find it was unbelievable
Yeah. Yeah.
who won that year. It was Giambi beat out Sosa, I believe.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Sosa, I also forgot that he was like very charismatic at the time too. Cause like,
Yeah,
I don't know what's really happened to him since like his career ended. But like he was like the much more charismatic one between him and Mark McGuire. And
right.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I also think it's like a little bit dumb that those guys aren't just in the Hall of Fame because like what they were
Yeah,
doing wasn't actually banned by the sport at the time. But I'm sure we'll get like we're talking about baseball too early on this podcast. We'll
true.
slow it down here. We'll talk back about the Patriots. I'm
One
sure
more thing
that
though. One
we
more
do have
thing.
older listeners who will hate what I just said, but still, I stand by it.
One more thing.
Yeah.
We were playing big deal or no big deal. You play
Yes.
steroids or no steroids with the 8 participants in that home run derby,
Okay.
right? Jason Giambi,
Steroids.
Sammy Sosa,
Steroids.
Paul Konerko,
Steroids.
Richie Sexton,
Steroids.
Torrey Hunter.
I'd have to look at the numbers. I lean towards no steroids on that one.
Yeah, I do too. Alex Rodriguez,
Steroids.
Barry Bonds.
Steroids.
Now let's see. Lance Berkman.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Probably not. Probably not.
I would probably say so.
You think so? The Berkman?
I would not be surprised. I'm going off. I'm going
Yeah.
off like into like I think that he was probably a guy who in the minors was not hitting. I don't know. I don't know the Lance Berkman career arc.
Yeah.
So
You got to assume everyone was on steroids back then, really. But he was not exactly what I would call a muscle bound guy.
that's
but
fair. That's fair. Maybe no.
You never
steroid-
know.
Yeah, it's up for debate with Lance Berkman.
All right. So yeah, 6 of 8. 6 of 8, maybe.
6 of 8, maybe. Yeah.
baseball
Berkman
was
always
great.
wore like a baggier jersey. Maybe he was just hiding it better than everyone else. But yeah,
I don't believe so. All right, back to football.
yeah. Back to football. So yeah, the left guard situation. I think that's where we left off. I think it's fine. They'll figure it out. I don't think anyone expects this team to win the Super Bowl. Like when they're competing for a Super Bowl, you can worry about who your left guard is. Until then, it is. Oh, we were talking about Diggs. It was actually Stephon Diggs that we moved on to. Yeah.
Good point. But I will say on the O-line, like the one thing that we're probably overlooking that we should cover all bases at this point of the year.
Yeah.
Likelihood that one of the 4 guys that we pencil in there gets hurt, I don't know, 35, 40%. So what is it after? And then your left guard becomes an issue if Bradbury gets hurt and the kid you drafted isn't quite NFL ready. Like there is a trickle down effect. So fully healthy, not an issue. Once an injury or 2 hits, you've got some issues.
So Mike Vrabel was asked today about Drake Maye's leadership. The question was, I was wondering if you view Drake Maye as a natural born leader or someone who's evolving into that role. And Mike Vrabel said, well, I think we're always trying to evolve in what we do, whether that's leadership, whether that's learning the other side of the football, whether that's learning each other. Again, Drake, I think it's a unique position being 22. It's kind of unique in that sense. So I think there is a lot of room to grow. I think there's a lot of natural leadership qualities. I think I have to encourage him, continue to encourage him, and to put him in those positions to do that so that the players understand that there's a different version of all of us. There's one that's maybe off the field, that there's one in the meeting room, and there's that version on the field, which we all have to understand is somewhat different than what it may be off the field. So do you think it's a big deal or not a big deal that he said there's a lot of room to grow and that he has to encourage him to put him in those positions? I don't know. Is that a big deal or not a big deal?
Not a big deal, and I'll tell you why. I was thinking about
Yeah.
this today because it was a talk radio debate discussion, and I used to briefly be in the
game?
industry. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was in the biz,
Yeah.
and so I was. What would I think? What would I say? And it's just every quarterback who's a great leader. Do you know what they have in common?
They're good quarterbacks.
They're good quarterbacks, and there's
Yeah.
no right way, wrong way, one way to do it. If you are good or great, your team will follow you, believe in you, and follow you into the seventh circle of hell. And there's so many different ways we've seen. Tom Brady here was kind of an asshole of a teammate, but guess what? He was the best quarterback to ever play.
Right.
So you try to rise to his level. Other guys like Josh Allen seems like the nicest guy in the world, but guess what? He's great, and so teammates love him and follow him. Lamar Jackson is as laid back and cool and quiet and calm as any star quarterback ever. And guess what? His teammates love him. Do you know why? Because he's an MVP. And that is the common theme. Jimmy Garoppolo, not a good leader. Do you know why? He's a mediocre quarterback. Go through the list of tons of guys, and there's just all different. There's no one personality that's a great quarterback leader. It's, are you great? Do you play well?
Yeah.
We will follow you. Are you mediocre? Do you kind of suck? Shut up, nerd. And that's it.
No, I agree. And I also think that like May is going to be a good leader. I think that the fact that he's like 22 years old, as Mike Vrabel said, plays a factor because like it's his second year in the league. Like Stephon Diggs has been in the league 10 years longer or whatever it is. Like Mac Hollins has been, Kendrick Bourne has been, most people on offense have been in the league longer than Drake Maye. So I think that like there's maybe a little bit of an awkward dynamic at times when you're that young and trying to be a leader, but I also don't see it necessarily being a problem this year.
Right. It would be bad if he came in and was like, all right, Diggs, get over here. Let me show you the way. Like you've got to kind of feel it out. And he does seem to have a good sense of teammates. You know what I mean? Like even last year, I mean, it was corny as hell when he told the media to clap for the defense, but I do believe like he's believable. Like I don't know that he's genuine when he does that, but he seems genuine and I believe it. So maybe I'm the sucker, but he just seems like a normal kind of guy and kind of like he seems like a football player.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Did you see the PFF rankings of starting quarterbacks that came out this week?
Maybe not.
Oh, wait, this came out May 20th, still this offseason. So Drake Maye was ranked 22nd. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you some guys that were, so the whole list, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, no issue there. Josh Allen, no issue with any of those guys. For his tier 2, this was John Costco. He's got Jalen Hurts, Jane Daniels, Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert. Still probably not a big issue there, right?
Yeah, sure.
Tier 3A, Jared Goff, Geno Smith, number 10, followed by Brock Purdy. Yeah, I don't know if no one should probably have qualms about Geno Smith being above Drake Maye because he's been in the league a lot longer. You know what you're getting out of him, but top 10 feels strong for Geno Smith.
Yeah, that's stupid.
3B, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, CJ Stroud, Kyler Murray. I think I would personally put all those guys above Geno Smith, but it is what it is.
Yeah, the Geno thing's really messing stuff up here. Even Purdy, we'll find out what Purdy is this year. I have serious doubts about him without the all-star cast around him.
Right. I would agree with that. Then, finishing out 3B is Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Tua Tagovailoa. Once again, that seems pretty standard. I think some of the guys should probably be a little bit higher. Yeah. Trevor Lawrence was 16. Tier 4, this is where it gets interesting. This is where Drake Maye is. So you've got Bo Nix at number 19. You have Bryce Young, who was benched last year at number 20. You have J.J. McCarthy, who did not play last year.
All right,
at number 21. And then you've got Drake Maye at number 22.
Yeah.
How
I
do you
mean,
feel about
listen,
JJ McCarthy having not played last season,
I mean,
injured all year?
he threw fewer picks than Drake May, but I think ultimately, like, and there's a ton of these grades that, and like Cam Ward's in there, Caleb Williams in there, and the blanket umbrella is young players with a wide range of potential outcomes, and I think that's fair.
Right.
Like, I've watched Drake May very closely, and I
Yeah.
believe for reasons X, Y, and Z, he will do very well in the league. But if you don't believe that, I don't think you're wrong. I think that
Right.
is sort of the spirit of something like this,
Yeah.
an exercise like this, because the reason I'll say like this personal list, and like there's lists all over the place. What gets overwhelmed is no one else in the league last year played with the 32nd ranked offensive line
Right.
and the 32nd ranked group of wide receivers, and a first year offensive coordinator and a head coach who
Yeah.
had no idea what he was doing. So that comes across as excuse making, whatever. It is the situation that Drake May played in. It should gradually and incrementally get better, but this year should be much, much better for him.
I hope I'm not a homer in this regard, just because I live in New England, whatever. I feel like Drake May's being slept on a little bit. Is
Yeah.
that like, maybe it's
Yeah.
just this list, maybe it's whatever, but like, I don't know. Like, if you could buy stock in Drake May, it feels like it's a good time to buy stock in Drake May, because like, I guess people are just kind of looking at the overall stats last year, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, I don't know, 15 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 2,200 yards, but like, so much of the time it looked so much better than that. And like, I obviously there are still some question marks about like, our turnover is going to be a problem for Drake May. He'll answer that this year, whether it is or not. But yeah, based on like what you said, like the offensive line's gonna be better, the weapons are gonna be better. He's gonna be another year push forward. He's gonna be with a better offensive coordinator, better system, better head coach. There's many reasons to believe that he's on an upward trajectory this year.
Yeah.
And we'll find out if that happens or not, but it just feels like he's being slept on.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, because we're obviously more tuned into it and maybe even invested in it because covering terrible teams sucks. But no, I mean, look, Jacoby Brissett, this is a good way to put it. Jacoby Brissett is a rock solid, right down the middle, kind of okay NFL quarterback, right? And now, granted, Gerard Mayo,
You're going to get a lot of hate for that, but it, like before last season, I think most people believed that. Yes.
yeah, well, he didn't handle the adversity of playing behind the worst offensive line with the worst wide receivers very well. But Mayo said it; he had to walk it back. May looked better in camp.
Yeah.
So that tells you that he's on a path, and I think you're right, people. But I'm saying you can't, like, if you're a Patriots fan, you can't like freak out at whoever makes a list like that and disrespects them or whatever, because despite all that, you do still have to eventually perform.
Right.
I don't know that I love like Jordan Love on the, like, I have questions about that list, but what are you going to
Well,
do?
where would you have
On my
Jordan Love,
list.
higher or lower?
He didn't really take the step last year that you thought he was going to. No, like I know what his numbers are, but I just watched enough Packers to not be. I expected a higher jump. He had 25 touchdowns and 11 picks.
I think it's fair to say that he might be too high, but I also still think that he should be higher than Geno Smith. So I'm talking out of kind of both sides of my mouth there, but like, I'm with you, but I'm also like, well, I don't know. I think Dak Prescott slept on too, but this is
That's
not
divisive.
this is not Cowboys talk.
2023, Jordan Love goes 9-8, 32 touchdowns, 11 picks. You're like, okay,
Right.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
Last year, 9-6.
He was quiet last year. He was
7 fewer touchdowns, same number of picks.
Yeah.
Passer rating 90 is a similar passer rating, but I don't know.
Him and CJ Stroud did not. They were very hyped after the 2023 season and didn't quite live up to that billing in 2024.
Indeed.
I would say.
Indeed.
I'm trying to think of what else. Today was like, I wouldn't call it like boring or sleepy. Oh, one thing. Okay, so Joshua Dobbs had the best two throws of the day. Deep shot to Kyle Williams right down the middle of the field, and an over-the-shoulder touchdown in the red zone by Lan Larison. Also threw an interception. But Joshua Dobbs' best practice of the spring for him, and had two throws better than Drake Maye. Big deal or no big deal?
No big deal.
All right, yeah, I would agree with that.
I
But
don't
just
really
trying to
care.
spice things up a little bit here.
But
I will say,
you.
like, Joshua Dobbs looked better than he had, which I think was a little bit promising.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't really care what Josh Dobbs does. Like, not to derail the podcast. It's Pat's chat. He's on the Pats. But
I think that's fair, but I also like I I don't know. I'm driving the bandwagon, being concerned about the Patriots' quarterback depth situation.
I think what I'm doing, I'm trying to self-analyze myself and why I'm being such a little grumpy B word. And I think I want to take a break from backup quarterback talk after a somewhat exhausting 3-year journey here.
I think that's
Um,
fair. That's fair.
from the night
I get it.
I watched 65,000 Patriots fans act like Jesus Christ himself descended from the heavens to throw a touchdown to a wide open receiver against the Bears and then
Mm-hmm.
play like absolute ass for the rest of the night and his
Mm-hmm.
life. Um, I just wanted I've wanted it to go. So maybe it's a great thing that I don't have to care that much about the backup quarterback and I'm reveling in it.
I think that's fair. I would say, personally, um, that if, let's say, Will Howard or Kyle McCord or Riley Leonard or Curtis Rourke were competing with Joshua Dobbs for that backup quarterback job, rather than it just being like handed to Joshua Dobbs, I'd feel a little better about the quarterback situation, but it is what it is. It's not the biggest deal.
It is what it
I
is.
think they probably could have drafted a quarterback and not just waited for Ben Wooldridge to sign
Yeah,
on.
I mean, he could have done the old RG3 Kirk Cousins draft.
Yeah, but although I mean that didn't seem to go well last year, so maybe that's why they were
What?
shying away from it. Well, hey,
Oh,
I
the
mean
two
Shadur
rookies.
Sanders. They could have drafted Shadur Sanders. That would have been fun.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of running out of. Isaiah Bolden had the interception. Good defensive plays by Jalen Hawkins and Del Pettis. Like these
You're
are
doing
these are
you're doing
lower
the right
rung
thing.
things.
You're doing the right thing, Doug. You're handling minicamp properly. There's
One more. Andres Borregales and Parker Romo, both 4 for 4 on field goals. Big deal, no big deal.
oh, I love it. I love a kicker competition. I just do. I don't know what to
Yeah.
tell you. Like it's who was it 2 years ago? The kid that hit the game winner in Denver on Christmas.
Yeah, I've already forgotten his name.
That's bad by us.
Played for Maryland. Chad Ryland. Chad
This is
Ryland.
Pat's chat, Doug. Oh my
Chad
God.
Ryland. It's not
You,
Chad. It's not Chad Chat.
I know. You could have given me 6 days. I wouldn't have come up with Chad Ryland. It just wasn't coming. Um, Covering him through camp was fascinating because he wasn't good at all. And
Right.
then the season began and he wasn't good
Yeah.
at all. So didn't they cut Folk? That didn't they have Folk and cut him?
They traded him, I think. Was it a
Oh,
trade or was it a cut?
I don't know. But they
But
had him
yeah,
after they
yeah,
drafted Ryland and
right,
like just gave the job to Ryland anyway.
right.
There
And
was
then,
one page in my notebook. It was when they got back from Green Bay, and they had a training camp practice down in the lower field, and he missed, and I wrote like 48 yards, like wide left, second attempt, wider left, third attempt, even wider left,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then that carried through. Like he wasn't a gamer, as they say.
I mean, like, they kind of had to keep Chad Ryland over Nick Folk, but only because they made the weird decision of trading up to draft him in the fourth round.
Right.
So, those things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it was somewhat humorous to me that people made such a big deal out of the Patriots drafting a long snapper in the seventh round this year. It's like the guy two regimes ago might have drafted that guy in the third round. You never knew with him. And like, so
Right.
that's why I was like, I don't know. They drafted two specialists in the sixth and seventh round. Like, at least it wasn't the fourth and fifth round.
Right. I mean,
You're making progress.
we probably could have looked at. We probably did look it up on this podcast. What percentage of seventh round picks make the NFL? Like single
Right.
digits. So
Yeah. All right. I think that pretty much covers it. Is there any other pressing Patriots topics? Have we
well,
missed it? Have we missed any David Andrews retirement or news or release? I feel like we're always missing David Andrews talk. I don't think anything else major has happened. Am I wrong?
I guess my question is outside of Diggs, what did the receiver group look like? I know Mac Hollins is not participating.
Hmm.
What's the picture there? Because to me, that's the most interesting battle going forward.
Yeah, there's not. I feel like there's not a lot of receptions being made. Kendrick Bourne actually, I think, had a pretty big day today. He had one, two, three. He had 3 catches on 4 targets. Had a He could have caught a fourth, but he was pushed out of bounds by Jalen Hawkins. It was a good play by Hawkins. Kayshon Boutte was on the field a lot, but I think he only caught one pass. Demario Douglas, only caught one pass, it looks like. So, yeah, not like exactly the most active day from the wide receivers out there. So, I think you hope that changes when Stephon Diggs gets out there. He'll be the top target, maybe frees some stuff up for other people. But, like, these are the reasons why you're still like, I don't know, Efton Chisholm is an intriguing name because these other guys aren't necessarily standing out the way that you would hope that they would.
All right, fair enough.
Like, Javon
All
Baker didn't catch anything. Jalen Polk is still limited with a shoulder injury. Like, these guys just aren't really popping off that much.
all roads lead to Efton Chisholm, is what you're saying.
It's true. Yeah. I was on WEI with my buddy Christian Arcand, and he was leading me in, calling it Chisholm sanity. And my first words were, wouldn't Efton sanity be a better word? And he was like, you know
Wouldn't
what? It would be.
wouldn't Chiz sanity? Chiz
Chiz
sanity?
sanity. Can't say that on the radio.
I
Can say
don't
that on
know.
Pat's chat.
I guess so.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think we've, as you mentioned earlier, talking baseball again, covered our bases with
Nice.
minicamp. We've got another one tomorrow, but you're gonna be in Chicago, so we're gonna have to wait to talk about day 2 of minicamp. We're gonna
Yeah.
leave the people waiting.
I went on vacation for the draft, and I went on vacation for mandatory minicamp. I think this one's a little more forgivable.
Yeah. You're just
The-
always on vacation.
what can I
Must be
say?
nice.
I get
Must
a lot
be
of time
nice.
off from work. I have a very nice package where I'm allowed to take a good amount of time off. So I'll be
Are
at.
your kids are already on school vacation?
No, I'm not going with my kids.
Oh.
My friend, my dear friend Dave, moved to California for like grad school, maybe 20 years ago or so, close to
Okay.
that. Met his wife, established
Okay.
a life out there,
Okay.
and Dave and I love each other.
Okay.
And as we approach middle age, Dave said, we need to meet in the Midwest every summer for a weekend and go to baseball games. And I
There we
said,
go.
and eat brats and drink beer and fart. So this is what will be happening. We're going to the Brewers Braves game on Wednesday in
Okay.
Milwaukee, and then 2 Cubs Pirates games Thursday night, Friday afternoon. Friday afternoon, we got bleacher tickets,
Wow.
and it's Budweiser umbrella hat giveaway day.
Wow.
So it's going to be a pretty big week.
Wow.
And
So you're
Friday,
leaving your wife alone with 3 kids.
yes, but the older
That's
2 are self-sustained. Like they're
Yeah, they're
like,
self-sufficient. Yeah.
you can just put them on self-clean and they take care of it. But
They take care of themselves. Yeah.
I will say the 1.5-year-old is a handful, and that is a rude thing for me to do. But what are you going to do? And then
I think it's actually it's probably better to do that before the kids are out of school. Because
oh, absolutely, yeah, because
Yeah.
they have school. I mean, I'm going.
Right.
The fact that it's not a weekend is probably helpful too, because it's
that is helpful. Yeah.
a Tuesday to Friday for all intents and
Half your
purposes.
days are covered by school at that point. So yeah.
Yeah, and they're fine. They watch a lot of Full House. We did actually. So I told you my kids are obsessed with Full House. An episode came on today that my wife something triggered and remember. She goes, "Oh, you can't watch this episode," and she made
Oh
them skip it.
wow.
I believe it involved DJ and Steve when Steve got an apartment.
Oh, yep. I've seen that one.
So
I think Olivia's actually seen that one too, but it's not the most appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah. So they did the Disney
Danny
World.
gets real
episode.
mad. Danny gets really angry.
I don't remember this one, so I must not have seen it. But they did the Disney World episodes, and I was like, they're gonna want to.
Those are good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably will. Yeah, so I could talk about it. I won an award this weekend or on Thursday. We raised the most money out of anyone else in the Boston Visionaries of the Year.
So what's that, like 30,000, 40,000 bucks?
A
Like
little bit more
50,000
than
maybe?
that.
Yeah.
So our goal was 100,000, and when we first signed up for this, we were like, that seems like an awful lot of money to
Yeah.
raise. I don't think we can do that. And like the other option was $50,000, but then I convinced my wife. I was like, I think we can get 100,000. We got that in the first 9 days, and this is a 10-week campaign. So then we set our sights a little bit higher, and at the time we thought that the highest goal among the other participants was $150,000. So we were like, you know what, we might be able to get to $150,000. We cleared that as well, and we wound up raising officially $317,000, but I think it's actually more like $318,000. And I pulled the whole like Taylor Swift thing when we won by being like, I had no idea we were going to win this, even though everyone in the room was like, you piece of shit. We knew you were going to win this.
No,
But
everyone was definitely calling you a piece of shit. Like, how dare you raise money?
there was another team whose goal was $500,000.
Yeah,
So we did not think we were going to win by raising $317,000. And like, you don't get anything for winning. It's all just bragging rights or whatever. So like, literally and there was another candidate whose name was Doug. So literally until they said the word Kyed, we did not know we were going to win, because they also said like, by raising 317,800 and whatever dollars. I was like, we didn't raise that much money, because there's also money being raised while you're in the building. So like, legitimately until they said the word Kyed, I did not think we were going to win. And then we won. And it was, once again, legitimately one of those things where I did not have like a speech written, and you have to give a speech after this. So all I had was a like list of like 20 names and like 5 companies. I was like, I got to pull a speech out of this. Um, definitely cried a little bit during the speech because it was an emotional time. Obviously, we were winning for Hallie, our daughter who died in January of 2024. But yeah, really emotional night, crazy night. We raised a shitload of money, which was really cool. And we did it in Hallie's honor. So yeah, it was wild, but
yeah.
really stressful night overall too. But very proud of myself for doing it.
Good, and you should be. And I think sometimes on this very podcast, we might speak negatively about like Twitter and say
Right.
offhand, like Twitter's the worst.
Yeah.
But I think there's a ton of good people out there that I think this is a representation of people
Definitely.
that want to do whatever they can to honor Hallie's legacy through everything you put out there about her. Like, we feel invested and
Yeah.
want to be a part of it. So I think I speak for a lot of people, and that's how you got where you got. So I think that's good. I think a lot of other people could probably say better things than I could. But.
No, that was perfect. That was truly perfect. And yeah, I mean, ton of people donated, and like, it is one of those things where I think that I'm probably gonna have to be like, not have to, but like, I'm gonna be excited to do it. Like, talk on a panel next year about like how we raised all the money, like give advice to other people, and some of my advice is not gonna be very helpful to people. Like, yeah, get 70,000 followers on Twitter and get a bunch of them to donate to you. But no, obviously I'll have some good advice for people. And I was really proud of all the other candidates who raised a ton of money. Overall, I think we raised $932,000, which is pretty wild because that's Boston alone. And there's like 70 of these visionary campaigns out there across the United States. I think we're probably in the upper echelon of those, but still tons of money around this time of year being raised for a good cause. One of those visionary candidates was a former Patriots kicker. We didn't mention him, but Joey Sly was doing it for DC or Virginia or something. So I'm not sure if his campaign is over yet, but if not, then good luck to him as well.
You wrote a good story on Joey Sly last year.
I did, yes. His brother died of AML, the same type of leukemia that Hallie had. So obviously, very close in that regard. But yeah, it was interesting. And that was at Granite Links, which I'd never been to Granite Links. Have you been to Granite Links in Quincy? Oh, there we go. You're wearing your Granite Links hat.
I played last week. I actually failed the pour test there. So
Really?
I walked into the clubhouse to pay for golf or check in and everything. And they had a bin that said $20 hats. And so I saw this one. I'm like, oh, I like that hat. $20. I like the price. Brought it on the thing. I put it in the thing, and the girl rang it up, and she goes, all right, that'll be $30. And I was like, I think it's 20. And it was just like, the alarm bells went off. They're like, get out of here, poor guy. It was like a rat trap. So
Wow,
I didn't last long.
Yeah.
Great place, though. Really cool.
Good food there. Because we were also there 2 nights later for a wedding. And our families all were like, was the food different the second time? The second night, and we were like, yeah, it was, and it was also still really good. So, shout out to Granite Links, shout out to LLS. Roman Anthony doesn't have a hit yet, right? We're on Roman Anthony watch.
He was up, and you were talking, so I was listening to you because I'm a good friend.
Wow.
But now he's not up, and they're at commercials, so I'm going to assume he made another out.
Good name for Roman Anthony. I would say in general, the Patriots prospects all have pretty strong names. Christian Campbell, a good name.
Marcelo Meyer. Good
Marcel
name.
Meyer, a good name. Roman Anthony, probably the best name of them.
Yeah.
Real superstar name for Roman Anthony.
You want to hear my brain, Doug? I had Nesson on upstairs as I was eating dinner, and they were doing like the pregame scene. Roman Anthony showing up. They showed the guy selling programs, and he had this like Centurion helmet on with like the red thing and the
Yes.
thing. And I was like, nothing clicked as to why that he was wearing that. But the man's name is Roman, and I was like, oh, it's a Roman soldier
Yeah.
type thing.
Yeah. There's a
Wow.
lot of like new empire tweets out there,
Yeah.
headlines.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I think, the Red Sox, I don't know. They're the only game in town after minicamp ends tomorrow, so
It's true. I
better
was
be
I was
good.
actually thinking about going to a Worcester Red Sox game this week, but fortunately they're out of town. But I was like, yeah, I'd like to see Roman Anthony one more time, and now that's not going to happen. But they've
Yeah.
got the password in Worcester, so you
Yost
can still go
Nixon.
see him.
Do
Yep,
not know
Yost
how to
Nixon.
pronounce it, so I said it that way.
Yep. I think they have one other guy left down there. What's his name? Blaze or something like that.
Oh, Blaze Jordan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Blaze Jordan. That's another. That's even stronger name than Roman
It's a
Anthony,
good
right?
name. They got to get him up just for that. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's a tough blow for the Woo Sox ticket sales that all three guys are now. Campbell started with the big league club, Meyer 2 weeks ago, and now Anthony. It's like got to get the next big three. Got to build
Yeah,
them up.
for sure. All right, this might be one of our shorter podcasts, but because we're only talking about one day of minicamp.
Mm.
Any other nonsense we need to get out there?
Well, I meant to bring it up last week, and this is
Yeah.
important in our only music conversation. Really, is the Wonder Years video that I wanted to
Mm,
talk about, and how they were asked their favorite Taylor Swift song, and they all pulled the macho BS like Taylor Swift
mm.
sucks, and it was like, come on, guys, we know you're
Everyone
gonna
other
rock,
than Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell
right?
did have, yeah, but no,
Because
that's true.
it was just like I want to put it out there. We are a pro embracing things podcast, not a pro false machismo podcast.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. I mean, there's a lot of Taylor Swift songs that are on playlists for me, so I'm in favor of Taylor Swift. I've seen Taylor Swift 4 times, I think I want to
Wow,
say.
that's a lot.
I saw her on the 1989 tour. I saw her at a Super Bowl party in Houston. I
Really?
saw her on the Reputation tour, and I saw her on the
Wow.
Eras tour.
You're a
My
diehard.
my wife's a big Taylor Swift fan. But the coolest one, like no offense to Jen, but the coolest one was the Super Bowl party because
What was that?
there was like 5,000 people there. It was in a tent. It was like
Oh,
it was like the AT&T party, and my
like on a Friday
friend's
night?
my friend's ex-wife worked for AT&T. He was her wife at the time, or she was his wife at the time.
Mm,
So we got to go in on the list. We got on the list. Saw Taylor Swift in front of like 5,000 people in a tent. It's pretty sick.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The only comparable situation I have with that, and it's not cool to say anymore, but remember when Mumford and Sons really had their run
Oh yeah. Yeah.
when they were the kings of the world?
Yeah.
They played like a mixed lounge at the Wilbur Theater
Oh wow.
right before they went on a world tour of sold out dates of like arenas and festivals with hundreds of. So I got to go because I was a CBS radio employee, and it was literally like 700 people at
That's
most.
wild.
They played some songs without microphones, and I was like, and like the next night they played the Garden sold out. Like it was a cool venue. I know it's not cool to admit, but I'm
Yeah.
pro admitting you kind of like stuff and
Yeah.
not. So I was in a big acoustic banjo phase, I guess.
Nice. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Everyone liked that type of music at the time until it got a little bit overplayed.
They got a
Yeah,
bad rap because like
they
everyone else
did because they
copied
were like
them,
they were the guys of it. Yeah,
and then there's
for
a
sure.
bunch of guys in suspenders stomping the floor, and it's like
Right.
that's not Mumford's fault.
And I mean, if we're being honest, like Noah Kahan isn't that much different than Mumford and Sons. He just doesn't have like
Right.
the suspenders and banjo. You
I
know?
actually have a theory about that because I was talking to
Yeah.
my friend, trying to figure out what these young people are doing. Because like
Yeah.
Noah Khan's obviously huge. There's a couple other people that aren't coming to mind right now. Zach Bryan, not Luke Bryan, Zach Bryan,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized like I think that's young people's emo. You know,
I think that's fair. Yeah, it's a lot bigger than it was in
sure,
our heyday. Yes, but yeah, I
but
think that's
like
fair.
because it's like sad bummer music. It's
Right.
bummer rock,
Yeah.
but it's like I don't know because I don't know that there's like who's a 22-year-old's newfound glory. It's Noah Khan.
Yeah, it's probably Noah Khan. Might be Turnstile. I don't know. Is it Turnstile? Turnstile is huge now.
Yeah, but I think you got to like heavier stuff to like
I guess that's
Turnstile.
true. Yeah. Um, yeah, I have. So beyond seeing Taylor Swift at a Super Bowl party, I guess I have like 2 to 3 other cool examples of that. I saw My Chemical Romance in a Newberry Comics
Mm.
in I think 2003. And I want to say there was like 50 people there. That was a pretty
Right.
wild one.
Like
And that
right
was right
when
before, that was
Three Cheers.
when I'm Not Okay was coming out. It
Yeah.
was like, oh, we're going to play Newberry Comics.
We
And there was no
actually
one there.
we actually saw fake My Chemical Romance open for a band.
That is true.
Remember?
Yes.
They were the most copycat band I've ever seen in my life.
My Chemical Fomance. Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you what they were called, but
Me neither.
they were copying. They opened for Spanish Love Songs, right? Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. I saw at the club that Paul Pierce got stabbed at. I think it was called Club Buzz or something like that. I saw a real weird lineup of Lawrence Arms, Starting Line, and Yellow Card in like 2002. That was another one. There was like 50 people there, and then Yellow Card had Ocean Avenue come out like a year later, and were like the biggest band in the scene. So that was an interesting one. And I also got to see Blink-182 at the Palladium, which was sick.
That's
Because
pretty
I mean
good.
that's a bigger venue. Obviously, it's 2,000 people rather than 50 or whatever. But still, the next show they played was at Suffolk Downs, which I think was like 10,000 people probably.
Roman Anthony has committed an error in right field. The
I did see
ball
that. Yeah.
went all the way to the warning track. That's tough. He's
How
gonna have to
much
hit a 3-run bomb.
how much right field has Roman Anthony played in his life?
Some, but I guess he hasn't played it since like early May. But that doesn't matter what field you're in if you can't feel the ground ball in the outfield.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that about Blink though, because I listened to probably too much Mark Hoppus like podcast interview, and I listened to actually Tom and Mark both did the Toby Morse podcast, so it was like a total of like
okay.
six. It's like 6 hours of those two I've listened to, and they talk about the Pop Disaster tour with Green Day,
Yeah.
and it was funny because Mark put it in this book that Green Day like wanted equal font size.
Oh yeah.
And they were kind of pricks about like going on late and thus knowing they were cutting Blink set short. They wanted pyro and all that.
Right.
And it was funny because Blink might have been bigger at the time technically, but I was at that show at the Tweeter Center. I don't know if you were in
Yeah, it was.
2002.
Yep.
And Green Day was so much better at playing to the big audience. Like
Right. Yeah.
they were on a
Yeah.
different planet of
Yeah.
playing to 20,000 people, whereas Blink was very much a club band
Right.
in a big venue. So it
Yeah.
wasn't until they figured that out, because I guess that was after the Suffolk Downs tour. So they had
It
played,
was.
they had
Yeah.
done the big tours, but they hadn't mastered like Billy Joe, like climbing the amps
Right.
and waving stuff and bringing people on stage and having the
Green Day
extra.
had been doing it for like damn near 10 years at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just funny because in Mark's mind, it's still like, well, we were bigger. And it's like, you had a lot to learn about that.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was just Blink was touring a ton at the time because they went from playing Worcester Centrum to Worcester Palladium to Suffolk Downs to Tweeter Center. So they dipped down for the Honda Civic tour, which they did with Alkaline Trio and Sum 41, and then dipped back up for Suffolk Downs. Must have been when Take Off Your Pants Jack was coming off that they did Suffolk Downs. But yeah,
Correct. Yeah. That came out in like May or June, and that concert was right around
July 28th.
It was awesome. Because then Warped Tour was like the next day.
It was. I was at Suffolk Downs a lot that week.
A lot of dust in the lungs.
Yeah. Yep.
Did I ever tell you when I got a concussion at Suffolk Downs at Warped Tour?
No. What happened? You got kicked in the head?
Nope. I was watching Newfound Glory, my favorite band at the time. Very excited watching it. And out of nowhere, I feel a giant smash in the back of my head. And I turn around and there's a box that someone had just wrapped in an entire roll of duct tape.
Oh,
and it
Jesus.
probably weighed like 15 pounds. And someone just threw it into the crowd and hit me right in the back of the head. And from that point until I got off the train, I don't remember anything.
Jesus.
It was pretty bad. I don't remember the rest of the set. I think I was like leaning on people.
Wow.
Yeah. So like I was a tiny kid playing tackle football, probably getting more concussions than I should have gotten. I didn't need that.
Well, in 70 years. We'll test you for CT. See what kind of repercussions, Dad.
I got a lot of things. That's just
Yeah.
add it to the list.
All right. Well, I think we're good here. We've done a solid 20 minutes that people didn't want to listen to, so I think that we've done our jobs.
I'd argue
More-
it was our best 20 minutes, but
It probably
agree to
was.
disagree.
Big deal or no big deal? Roman Anthony can't field a grounder in right field.
Yeah, that's tough. It is club buzz, by the way. You're right.
Yeah, club. I'm well aware. Was there? Oh, I think Fake ID might have played that yellow card starting
Ooh,
line show as well.
they had a big cover. Was it all or nothing?
It was the O-Town cover. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great cover.
Well, they were also from Bridgewater, Raynham, Braintree area.
I didn't know that.
So I think we played shows with them. I was friendly with their singer at the time, so yeah.
Our claim to fame is not.
Good
It's a
guys.
different. A Wilhelm Scream from New Bedford.
Oh
At the
yeah,
time, was Smack and Isaiah,
yeah.
and they had done like Warp Tour and everything. And I don't know why, but they wanted to play a local show, and there was like 7 bands on the bill at the Reading VFW. We were the 7th, but we were on there, and we played our set. It was probably 20 minutes. Like
Yeah.
I watched all the bands, probably was in and out, and then they came like a professional band came and played the Reading VFW, and those dudes are like they can shred.
Yeah.
They're hitting their harmonics. Like
Wow.
they are incredible, and it was like, what are you guys what are you doing here? But that was a great night.
A lot of my friends now record with either the guitarist or bassist or something of that band. I think
good.
down there in that area. But yeah, March 24th, 2002, Club Buzz, Boston, Massachusetts. Starting line, Lawrence Arms, Yellow Card, Fake ID. What a lineup. Yellow Card was the second opener, and a year later they were much bigger
Huge.
than all those other bands.
Never
Good
seen
for
them.
them.
Never will.
I wasn't. I'm gonna be the pretentious jerk who liked Yellow Card more before they got huge.
They were punkier.
It's just who I am. Yeah, they were punk with a violin.
Whoever produced Ocean Avenue, though, made them a lot of money. So
They sure did. All right, we will talk to you guys when Michael gets back from Chicago. Deal?
deal.
Cool. Go see that Bean.
No, I'm not going to see the Bean. If I see the Bean, I'm going to be pissed. If I stumble into the Bean, I'm going to be furious, and I'm going to go home. No Bean for me.
See the